Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of I almost said the UCT Live podcast. I guess I've been doing that too much. But I guess it's welcome back to another episode of every UCT stable ranked from worst to best, part 8, I think. As usual, I come into these videos without much preparation because, I don't know, I'm just lazy. But you know what? We're gonna continue the series because I've been doing this since like I think December, but the planning of the series has gone on since like October. So I really hope to get this done pretty soon. I've just been very busy with college and life. So I try to squeeze in these videos every now and then, and this is one of those times. So this video will cover entries 33 to 27, and let's just get to it. So number 33, we have the Wolfpack. And I know we've already mentioned another stable called Wolfpack, which was Johnny Extreme, Regicide, and Sean Avery. But this time we're talking about the Wolfpack, which is Rocky Crippler, Brandon Wolf, and Killer Kai. So this stable originally started as just a tag team between Brandon Wolf and Killer Kai for like a short bit, for maybe a month, in like April 2017, before Rocky Crippler eventually joined up with the team. This group was very underrated, I would say. They kind of went under the radar. They had decent success. Had some good feuds, a good amount of wins. Some of their big feuds came against the Faces of Fear and Anarchy Gang, and I think even in near the end of its run, they feuded against the Ex Bullet Club in ECCW. I'd say I think the biggest level of influence this group had to be their breakup, to be honest, because I think for the most part, most people don't think about Wolfpack and the things that they've done. Like they've achieved a good amount of success, as part of the NXT developmental brand for XWP, and then on the main roster, they were the 6-man tag team champions, and then in other companies, I believe Brandon and Killer Kai were tag champs, and I want to say Rocky Clipper won a world title, but I think that's wrong. I think he was like US champion maybe. But yeah, I would say the most memorable parts about this stable is their breakup, which honestly was very sad and very shocking. Probably one of the most shocking moments of 2021, to be honest, when Rocky Crippler betrayed Brandon and Killer Kai to join up with the remnants of the Ex Bullet Club to form Bulletproof, stable which is not on this list because when I made this list back in November, a lot of stables I didn't really take into consideration because they hadn't formed yet. But yeah, I'll eventually cover the Bulletproof in a bonus video before we finish off the series. But yeah, I'd say this group is very underrated. A lot of potential to be greater, but releases and betrayal prevented that. So moving on, we have number 32, the Dynasty. So the Dynasty was a face stable in OCW, formed by Adrian Destiny, DJ Hero, Mario Sanchez, Sue, and Faramosa. It's basically a bunch of Gen 1 legends and Faramosa, which is not a dig at Faramosa because she's actually a Gen 3 talent. This team had a bunch of W's, but with the rare times that they did lose, it was meant to put over stars like Azure Justice or myself. I would say they were kind of like a face version of Main Event Mafia, or I guess they'd be like the 2013 iteration of Main Event Mafia. It was a bunch of like big caliber names, just sticking together and winning titles and stuff. One of the things about the Dynasty is that they often put high quality matches, and they had a lot of title success, with DJ and Mario as tag champions, and then Adri as OCW champion. There was never really a leader in the group, but Adri was kind of like the figurehead, even though everybody was like on equal terms. And then one of the last things this group did was Mario and Sue winning the Mixed Match Challenge and then getting engaged at the end of it. Overall, great stable. I would say, like, in the grand scheme of things, I'd say they're just not as like memorable or impactful as like the other stables that are above it, if that makes sense. And plus, this is just my opinion, so it's whatever. But yeah, that's about it. Moving on, we have number 31, Evolution. And I know this just sounds like it's a WWE stable, but no. This is from SWE, which is formed of Silvio, Batista, Carlo Maria, and Estalo. I don't know how to say his name. I still don't know how to say his name. But essentially, this was all of SWE's biggest stars plus Carlo Maria branded together as a big babyface group of the company. They were together at the beginning of the company, and they had already achieved a lot of success with Estalo and Carlo Maria becoming World Tag Team Champions, and Silvio being the first ever SWE champion. And then, and this was at the Royal Rumble 2014, which was their first show. And at that show, Batista would win the Royal Rumble and become world champion at WrestleMania. Already, their accomplishments speak for themselves when it comes to the stable. I'd say in terms of character, there wasn't much to say. They were just kind of like Evolution, but face. That's how much I would say. I'd say their most memorable moments of Evolution had to be during the fall of 2014 when they were fighting the Corporation, who I mentioned in an earlier stable ranking video, where Estalo, Silvio, and Batista grouped together to take them on, and were successful in taking them down. I would say one of the big other stuff, sorry, I'm like speechless. One of the biggest things to come out of the stable was the rise of Estalo as a main eventer. Because started off as a tag guy. I don't think anybody really saw him as a main eventer until he won King of the Ring, which is another accomplishment for the group. Even though by then they were kind of like loose association. But yeah, a very successful stable. I'd say one of the things that brings them down is maybe the character work, because all you could say is like, oh, they were cool guys, sunglasses who were face, and they fought the bad guys. Like Estalo kind of had a trajectory similar to Daniel Bryan, but that's about it, And then I think when it comes to in terms of my favorites, they're not really that high up, but it's very nostalgic for me because, like I said, this was 2014. 8 years ago now, and I remember watching it and I was rooting for Evolution to beat the Corporation, so it has that on its side. But that's about it. So moving on, we have number 30, the Holy Trinity. So this one makes me kind of sad but also proud. So this stable was a heel stable in EWF formed by Max Mercury, the Messiah, and is two PWC original talent, Chris Silver and Travis Blue. It was and I'd say one of the biggest strengths of this group was their character. I like to think this is probably my peak. It was probably my peak character work for Max Mercury, with as the Messiah gimmick and just going all in terms of religious references and stuff, and wanted to take control over the company and stuff, but more in a subtle, behind the scenes kind of way. I'd definitely say it's one of the best periods of Max's career, and it definitely gave some shine to Travis and Chris Silver. Since besides Max Mercury, I think one of my calls with the biggest success is Dean Text. So it's the other call is also gonna, align in the spotlight, which pretty good. Sorry if I'm once again struggling for words. It's just I'm just speaking out of my head here and my heart. And also I just want to address why it's so dark in here. It's also because when I had the lights on, there was a glare just going down on the camera, and that was pretty annoying. So that's why I'm doing it in the dark. So back to Holy Trinity. Some of its accomplishments include the Hardcore and Revelation title for Max, and then the tag titles for Blue and Silver. Some of the big feuds and storylines included what was it, Max feuding, having some like one-off feuds with like Broken Jr. and who is now Laville Nova, I think, and DeLuca Matthews, which included a spot where I basically broke his fucking neck with a Meltzer Buster. Very entertaining stuff. And then I guess one of the bigger feuds for the Holy Trinity was against AJ Black and Justice Edge, and then eventually the incorporation of Chris in there, which resulted in the Extreme Warfare match at Vengeance. And then I guess there was also the feud for the hardcore title between Max and Jack, which included Max almost losing an eye by going all in with that by going all in Extreme, to be honest. But sadly, when it comes to the stable, I really wanted to put it higher, but with EWF recently having ended, it's kind of the end for the stable. Like, if anybody else wants to like use them, obviously you're gonna have to contact Brendan, since like the Holy Trinity is like an EWF thing. But I would definitely love to see the Holy Trinity come back someday. Really good stable. But for the time that it existed, I'm glad it happened. So moving on, we have number 29, The Prestige. So The Prestige was a heel stable in AWC formed by the absolute champion Sean, Jacob Cass, and Vandy. These were essentially it was essentially the elite, Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, in that they were all very top work rate guys, and plus prestige, elite, very similar words. I like to mention that this stable formed in 2018 when Sean was I want to say at the height of his absolute title reign, and to this day he is still absolute champion. And the Prestige was kind of formed to help give Sean backup against all these other big stables in AWC. So in that retrospect, this group succeeded in what it was trying to do. So obviously, when it comes to win-loss ratio, Sean almost never lost, minus maybe like a tag team match against Elite. Cass would challenge for the IC title every now and then, fighting against myself or Arrow. And Vandy was kind of on the side, not doing much until very recently when he won the IWGP IC title. I'd say in terms of all AWC stables, it's not that memorable, or at least it's not as impactful as the other AWC stables, but still a very dominant one, to say the least. It was protected well. I'd say one of the things that hurt the Prestige is that they kind of disappeared when Sean had his arms injured back in 2020, and since then it's kind of been like loose association, because Sean's kind of been doing his own stuff lately. I'm not actually entirely sure if the Prestige is actually still together. I think they probably are. It's kind of, but who knows? Maybe Hernan will watch this and correct me. Sorry if I keep touching my nose. It's a little itchy. But yeah, that's about it. So moving on, we have number 28, Destiny Path. So there you go, Maher. Destiny Path is finally getting their time to shine. So Destiny Path was a heel stable in DSW, now known as NWE, formed by Adrian Destiny, Johnny Extreme, and Max Mercury. This was a very powerful trio, 3 top guys, each with their own big egos, but managed to stick together. They had nothing but W's until an injury to Max Mercury kind of destroyed the team. Once it was left to just Johnny and Adrian, and Johnny felt like he was being held back by injury, and resulting in the end of the group. But when they were together, they were a top group and were essentially the top heels on the SmackDown roster up until the rise of Albert Williams. All the individuals in this stable are known for their own careers, but Destiny Path, I would say, is still significant enough to be included in a hype package of what they've done. Obviously, when it comes to accomplishments, you had Adri as world champion for a little bit, and then you had myself and Johnny as double champions, where we were both reigning SmackDown Tag Team champions, while also myself being the US champion and Johnny being Gold Warrior champion, and he is still Gold Warrior champion to this day. They were definitely the top stable season 1, tons of titles and a bunch of wins. I guess what holds them back is that, like, while they did have all the success, they didn't have that many people to fight, I'd say. Because, the big feuds involved Adri versus Doggy Dog. And then besides that, me and Johnny kind of just ran through the tag division. But there wasn't much else, once Adri lost the title, he kind of just stuck around to feuding with Doggy. Then that led all the way to Mania, where, I believe Adri lost to Doggy, and then myself and Johnny lost the tag titles, and then I got injured, and it all just snowballed down from there. But I'd say this was a definitely fun stable. It was very accomplished stable. I'd say in the grand scheme of things, it's probably not as impactful as any other stables that are above it, but it's definitely one of my favorites. Definitely one of the best that Max Mercury has been in, but not the best. So moving on, we have the final entry for this video, and that is number 27, Powerful Industry. So I want to say a lot of this audience who does not watch PWF, you do not know the stable, and I really think you're missing out. Because honestly, this is probably one of my favorite stables of all time. Even though that number 27, it's probably up there, like top 10. So this is a heel, but sometimes tweener stable in PWF, formed by Brian Vega, Cam Jones, Jaquan Frazier, and Aaron Vega. So essentially, these were all like mid-carders who either were just laughing stock, and well, not laughing stock, but just kind of treated as comedic, like Cam or Jaquan, or were just relatively underrated, like Brian, or just unknown, like Aaron Vega, who I think at the beginning he was just Aaron Young. Like he was, yeah. I know there was another Aaron Young in NHPW, but he also went by the Aaron Young name. So it was like he was like the less impressive version of that. But once this team got together, honestly, they became one of my favorite acts of PWF. Just like one of my guilty pleasures, to be honest. And this table really benefited the careers of all four men. They're very slimy individuals, very teaming up together, dirty tactics to do whatever it takes to win. It definitely made Brian Vega a huge star, definitely a future world champion, to be honest. And then you have Cam and Jaquan, who finally got treated seriously for once in the UCT, because before they were just kind of like not treated as strongly as they were in this group. And I'd say like this group definitely gave them respect and definitely showed like how good these calls are. They had a surprisingly good number of wins, to be honest, and a lot of titles and accomplishments, to be honest, because you have the Trios Championship, 2 Trios title reigns actually, between Brian, Cam, and Jaquan, and then Aaron, Cam, and Jaquan. You have the Latin American title, which Brian Vega was kind of known for in the company. You have the Cruiserweight title, which was held by Cam Jones, and then more known for Aaron Vega, and then the Extreme Championship, which was held by Jaquan. It basically made a relevant joke cause into stars to be taken seriously. And one of the big things as to why they're this high is because they have a lot of feuds with a lot of stables, such as Sweat Club and Total Destruction, and then a bunch of singles feuds that Brian Vega has been in, like with Jacob Cash, Brennan X, Mike House, and many more. So yeah, this is probably one of my favorite stables. I think it's probably a lot of other people's, as it should, because it's very good, and they're still together now. And back in the day they were more heelish, but now they're kind of forming a little more tweener, a little more fan favorite-y. Like Cam Jones has been more positive as a face, while Jaquan is still a little bit of a heel. Brian is just Brian Vega. You love him no matter what. And Aaron Vega does good stuff in the Cruiserweight division. So I'm glad to see this group has gotten the success that it got over the past couple of years. And I hope to see it increase as PWF keeps going. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and leave your feedback in the comment section below. Give us a subscribe if you're not subscribed. It's the first time I've ever actually made a comment about subscribing. But yeah, I'm glad this video went off without a hitch, because honestly I think the last 2 parts before this, I would do like maybe multiple takes. For sure, the last part I did multiple takes. But yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next time, whenever that is, for part 9 of every UCT stable ranked from worst to best. So see you next time. Bye.